Hello. Thank you for coming to my page. So, I am a creative healer and I love tarot. I'm also an artist, and I wanted to start this page to start off by talking and helping those learn tarot in a more creative, fun way. So I'm going to be doing these messages. I'm starting this off with the pick a cards and really focusing on um, each archetype. And we're going to start with the Fool, of course. For those that know about the Fool's journey, for those that know about the hero's journey, there is a reason of whoever, I'm not sure who actually started, who actually like was the very first person that did tarot, but it's very esoteric, and it really taps into a lot of things that um talk about spiritual growth. And as a creative healer, that's what I'm definitely all about. So, yeah, and don't mind my hands, please. It was whatever. So, let's get into this reading, okay, y'all? So I'm gonna start with these cards here, and we're just gonna see what comes through. It's more about what needs to be received, what needs to be grounded, and how we're going to embody this energy, okay? So with the Fool card, before I actually do that, let me just break down a little bit. Just keywords with the Fool card is. For me, I really don't like using books. This isn't like a class, but I mean, to kind of contain it a little bit, because we're dealing with energy when we're talking about tarot. Just like the saying, a picture is worth 1,000 words. Tarot is worth quadruple words, because we're speaking about energy, and two, we're looking at a picture depicted with numbers, speaking on numerology, as well as um, a word, right? An archetype. And if you want to get deeper into it, sometimes people even talk about the colors with chakras and energy. So there's so much symbology, there's so much that's going on when you talk about tarot. It can get really big, just like anything that's esoteric and occult, or it can be more focused within your energy, within your container, and within your intentions. So with the Fool card, we have I don't like these. All right, let me pause this. Okay, so just a background, just a few keywords for the Fool card is innocence, willing and ready, for what's ahead, curiosity to new beginnings, ignorance, reckless behavior, stepping out blindly into danger or into faith, right? Um, did I say ready for new things to happen? And gathering what you think you need, right? And to strive for growth and greater things. Sometimes you can stay into fear of not knowing. But I like to write affirmations, and I wrote an affirmation about I look ahead with knowing what I already know and curious to learn more. There's another affirmation of I am seeking growth to take the steps into the unknown, leaving behind fear. And that definitely to me speaks about the Fool. There are other why can't I think right now? There are other words that are helpful for the Fool, but just like tarot, and just like this paradox that we live in on Earth, things can be positive and things can be negative. And when you're dealing with tarot, that's why we talk about upright and down, right? Upright and backwards, or downright. And sometimes people get caught up with that. For me, I would just like to say that you can still read them without any reversals, but just know and feel the energy. Like the fool, like the word the fool. Again, it can be talking about like, hey, I'm blissful, I'm leaping out on faith, right? Or it can be like you're leaping out of an illusion and you're not being realistic. Of course, we need 1 plus 2 equals 1. Like the yin and yang, we do need both parts to really marry the two. But just like feminine and masculine energy, we need that. But the fool also needs both parts so they can understand the destination that they're going to. So without further ado, let's get into this message here. Receive, ground, and embody. All right. So let's see how we're going to use this creative energy when it comes to the Fool. And what messages I have to tell you all. Okay. So I have compassion. I have perspective. And I have sensuality. Okay, so when we're talking about the creative energy of the Fool, right? And utilizing this Fool-like energy for the creative soul, there's a need to receive, right? Receive compassion, receive, or also, I know I'm saying receive compassion, but a lot of us artists and creative souls, right? We receive these ideas. And sometimes they come in a form of happiness, right? Until we start working on it, and then things can kind of go either way with our emotions, right? But when you have compassion, there's this energy of gratitude. There's this energy of unconditional love, and it's this energy of seeing the whole picture from a higher perspective, you know, and not coming from a place of blame or anything. And sometimes, as the Fool card comes, there's a need for us to ground in like that perspective, ground in that energy of what we want to paint on the canvas, ground in what we want to start creating, you know, on a empty plate if you're a culinary artist, you know, or what we want to compose if you're, you know, a musician, you know, producer, if a lot of people say nowadays, because, you know, we're not really using, you know, these instruments like back in the day, but you're still making music, right? And the sensuality, you know, a lot of times people get sensuality and sexuality mixed up. They can hold hands, I'll say. You know, like sometimes I say hold hands because it's kind of like one and the same, but not really. And sensuality, my version of that is feeling the senses, you know, feeling touch, feeling sight, feeling sensual, sentiated. Is that the word? Could be messing up words, y'all. But it's about that loving and that feeling, and that's all what creativity is about. It's about receiving the energy, receiving the compassion and love from spirit, and allowing those ideas to funnel down through you to give you a certain perspective so you can actually tap into it and feel into it and start creating your thing, right? But it all starts from like inception, honestly, because that is a word that I would use for the Fool. It's always a new start, whether it feels like you're being foolish or if you're being like naive, or because, you know, sometimes people think naive is a bad word. I think that naive. It kind of goes with that ignorance is bliss thing. You know what I mean? And that can be one thing and it can be a total different. Let's use the Lenormand cards to really start clarifying this message. What do I need to tell the listeners about this Fool card and how we're creating with it? Let's get two more. This is my way of teaching in a way. Okay. And the lily is sensuality too. Very interesting. So it's like this is the foundation. This is what I'm picking up, like the compassion. When we're creating, we do need to have a form of gratitude when we're creating. Because, I mean, unless you want to put out some stuff that's just like, type of thing, like, I really feel like having a compassionate heart while you're creating can really be helpful because you're sharing. Let's see what compassion comes into this, because I feel like I'm having a hard time understanding how this is fitting into the Fool card. Okay. All right. This makes sense. Understanding, empathy, connection, oneness, and unity. Awakened soul story. Our awakened soul comes in contact with a baby orangutan in the wild. Baby, Fool. These two young sacred beings see each other as kin. They are connected and can see themselves in each other. The little girl feels the pain and fear the orangutan has over losing her natural habitat through human greed and apathy. Through this connection, she is able to make changes in the world to help protect it from her animal king. Orangutan is connected to her inner knowing and sharing. They ask us to move into the heart space where compassion comes from and grows. So I kind of don't want to get into reading all of this, but this is making a little bit more sense for me to speak out. When we're starting to create something, anything, it's at its inception. It's new energy here, and it's something to just embark on. When we start embarking on things, we're connecting. Just like they were saying with the habitat of the orangutan, right? Like, people that don't have empathy just do whatever. It's like the apathy. It's like, well, oh well, who cares? Like, that has nothing to do with me type of thing, But when you can connect, this is reminding me of that connection with spirit, like I was talking about. This is the foundations that we have here when we're creating. Because these ideas aren't coming out of nowhere. They're coming from spirit. They're coming from God. They're coming from angels. They're coming from ancestors. They're coming from ascended masters. Whatever you want to call it, it's definitely coming from the unseen. And we're bringing it into the physical, this earthly realm, this 3D. You can say it's coming from 5D, 60, 70, 80. Because these dimensions also deal with your chakras. It also deals with the energy that we are connected to. The unseen and the seen. And here we have the star. I know my indigenous peoples talk about connection with star and having a star family and coming from the star, right? Coming from the universe. And this is the biggest perspective. Like, I can't even imagine what the universe looks like because I'm living in it. I can't even imagine what the earth looks like. Someone tells me, oh, this is what my continent looks like because it's a map. But I never got that broad enough perspective to actually see that form of land. When we can step away and we can step out, then you can actually see that this is more than just one step. This is a journey. There's multiple destinations from these archetypes in the tarot. The first destination is actually taking that first leap of faith, that first step. There's a card in here that speaks on that. I can't go through this. This is my card deck that I started. But in order to start something, you know, from creating, you have that idea, the foundation, and it speaks through your heart as well, y'all. Like the ideas funnel down into the heart. And if your heart isn't really like cleared, if you're not really self-loving on yourself, you can't really give that love to anybody else. Because when you speak about the chakras, um, the lower chakras, it's all about the tangible things, the things that we do and interact with other people instead of interacting with spirit. And when it also comes to perspective, we have the scythe here. I think I'm saying that word right. The scythe is talking about canceling, clearing, removing things, right? And we need that perspective so we can understand what is not needed and what is needed. Like when we're dealing with the creativity, you know, sometimes you have to try again. It's almost like the Aaliyah song, like dust yourself off and try again, right? Like if first you don't succeed, it's okay. We may lean into that failure attitude, but if you can see it from a new perspective about failure, failure is your greatest teacher because it's going to tell you like, we tried that blue with the green and it didn't quite look right. Or I was trying to make I was trying to make green with blue and yellow, but it wasn't working. I needed to add a little bit. I needed to add like 20% of blue and like 80% of yellow, you know? And we have to try that. We have to experiment that. Artists are very synonymous to scientists. You know, I feel that the only difference between artists and science is that um, masculine and feminine. One's more of a flow, one's more of chaos, even. And the science is more of a linear structure. Um, yeah, there's processes to everything, right? But the process of the artist can be very messy. It can be very loops, curves, and back around again, right? And the scientist, in a way, kind of invented the word perfection because it's kind of like more about man-made, right? And kind of dismissing that there's another source here that is universal source, universal consciousness, and divinity. And where is this going with this Fool card, right? It's going with trusting and having the faith that you're stepping out. You're taking that step because you have faith within yourself. You have faith within the universe. Um, you are that spirit that is connected to the greater spirit. And without the greater spirit, you are not functioning. Okay? So don't ever get arrogant enough or in these low vibrations where you don't see the greater perspective and you don't feel trustworthy of your ideas and creating the things that come to you and funnel through you and channel you. All right. It can be hard, right? This is where this mountain comes. Like, it's a journey, it's a process, it's a fool's journey, it's a hero's journey. But trust and believe it's a journey to fulfillment. With this lily card here, it's a journey to some sweet success. The butterflies, it's a journey from the caterpillar to the mofo butterfly. It's a crystalline energy that is sometimes undefinable. And that's the other thing when we talk about art versus science. Science defines these things, right? Man-made. But art, God, universe, some things are just unexplainable. Some things science just cannot explain. We have gotten, you know, to this evolvement, just like the caterpillar to the butterfly, where we can understand through trial and error a lot more than before. But this is where the occult comes in, because occult is that secret esoteric language, and dealing with the fool, because it's not really for the masses to understand. You know, as a collective, there are just some that will understand that and some don't. But it doesn't discredit the whole picture. It doesn't discredit that at all. And that's where these low vibes and this cynical energy may come into play with negative energy of the Fool, where it's just like, this is all about me. I'm the only person in the world. And fuck everybody else. Fuck every little living thing. You know, this is about me. It is, but it ain't. You know what I'm saying? So let's leave a droplet here. Let's leave the Fool here. That's what we have to. This is what I'm teaching about the Fool card today. Let's get one more card out here that can rock with this. I feel like I know what this card is. Okay. Wow. So, let your heart and mind align so you can figure out clear intentions. With clear intentions, I know I didn't read this verbatim, but with clear intentions, that sparks your destination. So like for the Fool card, right? Instead of being like totally oblivious of this cliff here, right? And not really knowing if this cliff may drop 2 feet or may drop 200 feet. You know, there is, again, that balance. You know, speaking like the Fool, right? Sometimes people are like, oh, you're so foolish. You have a big imagination. Like, what's going on? Like, no, it's great. Imagination is great, right? But when you get so engulfed in your imagination, you're just not quite sure which reality you're in. That can be a problem, right? And that could be a problem with the Fool, especially starting with new things. You do need to ground. You do need to ground. You want to embody the energy of sensuality and happiness and joy and bliss when you're creating things. But you do need to ground by knowing the best way to process this and getting rid of the excess noise or the excess energy or feelings that don't allow you to flow with what you're creating, and really allowing yourself to see the bigger picture too. Because like, I'm a painter, I do paint, and sometimes it's like, even with graphic design, when you're creating things like with your hands and like really in it, you get lost in it at times, and there's a need for you to step out of it so you can like back up right into the picture. Because like, if I'm like, boom, you don't see the full picture, right? But if I'm like, boom, you see more of it. Just like you don't see a lot of what else is around my camera, because this is the only perspective I'm giving you. But it's multiple angles to things. And just like there's multiple parts to life, multiple parts to humanity, where we have the Fool as a single person and then moving to the world with the world, humanity, everybody up in the universe type of thing, right? So when you can align your heart and your mind can align by figuring out clear intentions. I feel like this needs to be rewritten though, because it's like, when you can align the heart and the mind, that emotion and that practicality, that feeling and that reason, we can then embody what we're trying to create and be free to live beyond our past. This is kind of like reminding me of something with ancestors, because it's like people came before you to do exactly what they needed to do, so that ripple effect can connect with you, and you get the baton passed to you to do better than, to do more. And it doesn't come with apathy, it comes with empathy. Because this is reminding me when I was in high school and in history class, and it's like, history always repeats itself. And I'm like, well, if history repeats itself, why are we repeating these things? Especially what didn't work, right? Because the bullshit never got cleared and canceled out in the first place. That's why. Okay? So when you can clear that out, then you can start understanding, okay, like, this is where I need to go for the greater good. You get what I'm saying? And you won't have that unless you have that empathy, unless you channel in that gratitude and compassion and that love, that unconditional love that the universe gives you. But if you continue to think that you are not loved, then you won't feel that love from the universe and won't see the greater perspective. So that's my message I have for the Fool, y'all. If you're feeling the vibe, please subscribe. If you have resonated with anything that I said, I'd love to see like you drop a heart, a thumbs up, or any other words that is speaking on this, because this is my way of teaching these major arcana cards. I'm developing some more things, but all I want to say is I don't want to give too much away. But if you're ready and you're loving what you're seeing and you want to hear more about the magician, please subscribe if you're feeling the vibe, and come back to hear more of what I need to say with the magician card, because I'd like to honor and highlight this fool's journey, but I think I might say hero's journey. I'm not quite sure yet. There's a slight difference, but it's the same for me. And I'm just an artist, honestly, an artist, a creative healer that wants to tap into this esoteric vibe of the tarot, because there's so much creativity, meanings, symbolism that can help embrace and open your creativity up, but also can help heal your own journey, your own path that you're going through, to find more purpose through what you came here for. Because I'm definitely a firm believer in not wasting your talent, because we all have talents and gifts, and we came here to use them and share them. So I'm done singing my kumbaya. If you're ready for another dose, please like, share, and subscribe, and stay tuned for the magician card. I'm out, y'all. Peace.